My fiancé said, "My friends think you're too plain for me. Being with you lowers my image." I replied, "Good to know." That same day, I quietly canceled the decorator, the photographer, everything. 3 nights later, his best man showed up at my door, trembling. "Please don't hang up on him. You need to hear what he admitted tonight." I'm Lisa, 34, and 4 days ago, my fiancé told me I was damaging his social status. By the time his best man was standing on my doorstep begging me to listen, I'd already dismantled our entire wedding and made peace with the fact that the man I'd planned to marry cared more about appearances than about me. I'd been with Nathan for 3 years, engaged for 7 months. We met at a mutual friend's party when I was 31 and he was 29. He worked in PR for a luxury fashion brand. Always immaculately dressed, always networking, always aware of how things looked. I'm a civil engineer, stable job, good income, nothing flashy. I wear khakis and button-downs most days. I drive a reliable sedan. I'm not exciting or glamorous, but I thought what we had was real. The wedding was set for 2 months away. We'd been planning for months. Venue booked, invitations sent, deposits paid on everything from the florist to the DJ. Nathan had been increasingly stressed about wedding details, but I figured that was normal. What I didn't realize was that he was stressed about me. Last Monday afternoon, I came home early from a site inspection. Nathan worked from home that day and was on a video call in the living room. I heard his voice as I walked in. Didn't think much of it. Started heading to the bedroom to change. Then I heard my name. I know, he was saying. Lisa's just so plain. Like she's nice and stable and whatever, but my friends keep asking what I see in her. She doesn't have the look or the lifestyle. Being with her genuinely lowers my image. I stopped in the hallway. It's embarrassing sometimes, he continued. Like at that gallery opening last week, everyone there was in designer everything, talking about their trips to Milan and Tokyo, and Lisa shows up in a department store blazer, talking about drainage systems. I love her, but God, she's just so boring. Whoever he was talking to said something I couldn't hear. I don't know, Nathan sighed. The wedding's already planned. Maybe once we're married, I can, work on her image. Get her to dress better, network more. She just needs to be less herself. I stood there for probably a full minute, processing what I'd heard. Then I quietly backed out of the apartment, went to my car, and drove to a coffee shop. I sat there for 2 hours thinking. My phone buzzed multiple times with texts from Nathan asking where I was. I didn't respond. I was too busy making a list of every wedding vendor we'd hired. By the time I went back to the apartment around 7 p.m., I'd made up my mind. Nathan was in the kitchen making dinner, acting completely normal. "Where were you?" he asked. "I texted you like 5 times. Had some things to take care of." "What things?" "Just work stuff." He seemed satisfied with that answer. We ate dinner, watched TV, went to bed. He had no idea I'd overheard anything, and I didn't tell him. Tuesday morning, after Nathan left for his office downtown, I started making calls. First, the venue. They had a cancellation policy that was brutal. We'd lose about 60% of our deposit, but I didn't care. Canceled. Then the photographer, the florist, the caterer, the DJ. The decorator Nathan had hired to do the reception setup. One by one, I canceled everything. Some vendors were understanding, some were annoyed. All of them processed my cancellations. The wedding suit was already paid for and in Nathan's possession. Nothing I could do about that. Same with the invitations already sent. But everything else that could be canceled, I canceled. By Tuesday afternoon, I had dismantled our entire wedding. I'd lost thousands in deposits, but I didn't care. I wasn't going to marry someone who thought I was an embarrassment, who saw me as a project to be fixed, who told other people that being with me lowered his image. That evening, Nathan was talking about final details for the wedding. Which wine to serve, whether to have a chocolate fountain, all these little decisions. I just nodded along, gave opinions when he asked, acted normal. He had no idea that none of it mattered anymore, because there wasn't going to be a wedding. Wednesday morning, I packed a bag while Nathan was in the shower. Not everything, just enough for a few days. When he came out, I was sitting on the bed. "I'm going to stay at my sister's place for a bit," I said. "What? Why?" "I need some space. Wedding stress. Just need a few days to clear my head." He looked concerned, but not alarmed. "Okay. Do you want to talk about what's bothering you?" "Not right now. I just need some time." He accepted that, kissed me goodbye, told me to text him later. I left. I went to my sister Dana's house. She lives about 30 minutes away, has a spare room, and asked no questions when I showed up with a bag. "Everything okay?" she asked. Not really. I'll explain later. That evening, Wednesday evening, I got my first text from the venue. They'd sent a confirmation email to both me and Nathan about the cancellation. Standard procedure. Nathan called immediately. Lisa, I just got an email saying our venue is canceled. Is this a mistake? No mistake. What do you mean, no mistake? Why would they cancel? I canceled it Tuesday morning. You what? Why would you cancel our wedding venue? Because I'm canceling the wedding. Silence. Then what are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that I overheard your video call on Monday. The one where you told whoever you were talking to that I'm plain, boring, and being with me lowers your image. The one where you said I'm an embarrassment. More silence, then quietly. You heard that? Every word. So yeah, I canceled the venue and the photographer and the florist, caterer, DJ, decorator, all of it. There's no wedding, Nathan. We're done. Lisa, wait, let me explain. I hung up. He called back immediately. I didn't answer. He texted, please let me explain. It wasn't how it sounded. I was venting. Please. I turned off my phone. Update 1. Thursday. I took a personal day from work. Spent most of it at Dana's watching TV, not really processing anything. My phone was still off. Dana finally asked what was going on around lunchtime. I told her everything. The overheard conversation, the canceled wedding, all of it. She just shook her head. Jesus, Liz, I'm sorry. That's brutal. Am I crazy for canceling everything without talking to him first? Are you kidding? He told someone you're an embarrassment, that you lower his image. What were you supposed to do? Marry him anyway and hope he stops being ashamed of you? She had a point. Thursday evening, I turned my phone back on. 73 notifications. Texts from Nathan. Voicemails from Nathan. Missed calls from Nathan. Texts from his friends. Texts from my friends asking what was going on. I ignored all of them except one. A text from my mom asking if I was okay. I called her. Lisa, honey, what's happening? She asked. Nathan called me crying, saying you canceled the wedding. I did. It's complicated, Mom, but yeah, there's no wedding. What happened? I told her. She was quiet for a long moment. Oh, sweetheart, she finally said. I'm so sorry. You did the right thing. Did I? I lost thousands of dollars in deposits. I blew up a 3-year relationship without even having a conversation. You didn't blow anything up, she said gently. He did when he decided you weren't good enough for his image. You just refused to accept that treatment. That's not the same thing. We talked for another hour. My mom has always been good at seeing through nonsense. By the end of the call, I felt more certain about my decision. Friday morning, I texted Nathan. I'm at Dana's. I'll come by the apartment Sunday to get more of my things. Please be out when I'm there. He responded immediately. Please, can we just talk in person? I made a terrible mistake. I didn't mean what I said. You absolutely meant it, I replied. Sunday, noon. Don't be there. I spent Friday and Saturday in a weird limbo. Not really sad, not really angry, just numb. Dana kept checking on me, making sure I ate, not pushing me to talk when I didn't want to. Saturday night, around 10 p.m., there was a knock at Dana's door. She answered it. I heard a man's voice. Then Dana came to the spare room. It's someone named Ethan, she said. Says he's Nathan's best man. Says it's urgent. I went to the door. Ethan was standing there, looking genuinely upset, almost trembling. We'd met a few times. He and Nathan had been friends since college. He seemed nice enough, though I'd never gotten to know him well. Lisa, please don't hang up on Nathan, he said immediately. I know you're angry, but you need to hear what he told me tonight, please. What did he tell you? Can I come in? I don't want to have this conversation on the doorstep. I let him in. Dana made herself scarce. Ethan sat on the couch. I sat across from him in a chair. What's going on, Ethan? Nathan called me tonight completely hysterical, he said. Kept saying he'd ruined everything, that he didn't know what to do. I went over to your apartment. He was drunk, crying, barely coherent. I asked him what happened, and he told me about the video call you overheard. Okay. So I asked him why he'd said those things about you, and he just broke down completely. Lisa, he was on a video call with his ex-girlfriend. I just stared at him. What? His ex, the woman he dated before you. Apparently they've been talking again for a few months. Nothing physical, or at least that's what he claims, but emotional cheating for sure. She reached out after she saw your engagement announcement on social media. They'd been having these long conversations about their past relationship, Ethan continued, about regrets, about what could have been. And he told her you were an embarrassment. He told her what he thought she wanted to hear. I felt like I'd been punched. Why are you telling me this? Because he asked me to, Ethan said quietly. He said you deserve to know the whole truth. He said what he told her wasn't really how he feels about you. It was him trying to convince himself that marrying you was a mistake. That doesn't make it better, I said. That makes it worse. I know, Ethan said. I told him the same thing. But he wanted you to know he wasn't just randomly bad-mouthing you to friends. He was trying to convince his ex and himself that leaving you for her would be the right move. Was he planning to leave me? I don't know, Ethan said. He says no. He says he loves you and was just confused and made terrible choices. But honestly, I think he was testing the waters, seeing if she'd take him back. When you overheard the call and canceled everything, it forced his hand before he was ready. Update 2. Ethan left around 11 p.m., said Nathan wanted to talk to me, wanted to explain everything himself, begged me to hear him out. I said I'd think about it. Ethan gave me a sad look and said, "For what it's worth, I think you deserve better than this." Sunday morning, I went to the apartment as planned. Nathan wasn't there. He'd respected my request to leave, but he'd left a letter on the kitchen counter. 6 pages, handwritten, explaining everything. He confirmed what Ethan told me. His ex, Brooke, had reached out 4 months ago. They'd been talking regularly. He'd developed feelings again. Or maybe they'd never gone away. He'd been confused about whether he was making the right choice marrying me. The video call where he'd trashed me was him trying to convince Brooke that he wasn't happy, that I wasn't right for him, that they should try again. But Brooke had told him no. She was seeing someone else seriously and wasn't interested in reviving their relationship. That was why Nathan had stayed with me, why he'd gone through with the wedding, because his backup plan hadn't worked out. The letter was full of apologies. He said he did love me, that he'd made terrible mistakes, that he wanted to fix things. He said he'd cut off contact with Brooke completely. He said he was so sorry for hurting me. I read it twice. Then I tore it up and threw it away. I packed up my things, clothes, books, personal items. It took about 3 hours. I left my key on the counter and left a note of my own. We're done. Don't contact me again. I've already started the process of getting my name off the lease. You have 60 days to refinance or find a new place. I went back to Dana's. That afternoon, I called my lawyer to discuss the lease situation and any other loose ends. Monday morning, I called our wedding officiant, one of the few vendors I hadn't been able to cancel immediately, officially called off the ceremony. By Monday evening, I'd closed the loop on everything. No wedding, no fiancé, no shared apartment, clean break. Update 3. It's been 3 weeks since I overheard that video call. The wedding would have been next month. Instead, I'm living temporarily at Dana's while I look for my own place. Nathan has tried to reach out multiple times. Texts, emails, showing up at Dana's once until she told him to leave. He wants closure, wants to explain, wants to apologize in person. I've ignored everything. There's nothing he can say that would change what happened. Ethan texted me about a week after that Saturday night conversation. I'm sorry for how this all turned out. Nathan is genuinely devastated. He knows he screwed up. I'm not asking you to forgive him, but I thought you should know he's struggling. I responded, I appreciate you being honest with me, but him being devastated doesn't change what he did. He tried to trade me in for an ex who didn't want him. I was his second choice, his backup plan. I deserve better than that. Ethan wrote back, "You're right. You do deserve better." I told him the same thing. I'm sorry you went through this. That was the last time we communicated. My parents have been supportive. My mom keeps saying I dodged a bullet. My dad told me he was proud of me for standing up for myself, which coming from him means a lot. Friends have been divided. Some think I overreacted by canceling everything without confronting Nathan first. Others think I did what needed to be done. The financial hit was significant. Between lost deposits and breaking the lease early, I'm out about $18,000. Expensive lesson, but worth every penny to avoid marrying someone who saw me as an embarrassment and a placeholder. I found an apartment last week, small 1-bedroom, nothing fancy, but it's in a good neighborhood and the rent is reasonable. I move in next weekend. Fresh start. Final update. It's been 4 months since I canceled the wedding. The date we would have gotten married came and went 2 months ago. I spent that day hiking with Dana, deliberately not thinking about what might have been. I'm settled into my new apartment now. It's small but comfortable. I've been focusing on work, picked up some freelance consulting projects on the side, started going to the gym regularly, reconnected with friends I'd neglected during the relationship. I'm doing okay. Nathan reached out one last time about 6 weeks ago. He sent a long email, not asking to get back together, just apologizing and explaining. He said he'd been in therapy, working through why he'd sabotaged our relationship. He said he realized he'd never fully gotten over Brooke, that when she reached out, it reopened old wounds he thought had healed. He said seeing me as plain or boring was him projecting his own insecurities, trying to justify to himself why he was emotionally cheating. The email ended with, "I know you'll never forgive me, and I don't expect you to. I just wanted you to know that losing you was the biggest mistake of my life. You were good to me, and I threw it away for someone who didn't want me. I'm sorry for wasting 3 years of your life. You deserve someone who sees how incredible you are, not someone who tries to change you. I hope you find that person." I read it once and deleted it. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. I ran into one of Nathan's friends last month. Not Ethan, someone else from his circle. She recognized me at a coffee shop and came over to say hi. We chatted briefly. She told me Nathan had moved to a different city, taken a new job, was trying to start fresh. I said I hoped things worked out for him. She gave me this sympathetic look and said, "He really did love you, you know. He just didn't know how to handle it when his past came back." I just nodded. Maybe he did love me, maybe he didn't. Either way, it doesn't change what he did. I went on a few dates recently. Nothing serious yet, but I'm open to it. I'm more cautious now about red flags, about people who see me as a project to be improved rather than a person to be appreciated. I know what I bring to a relationship. Stability, loyalty, consistency. Those aren't exciting qualities, but they're valuable. If someone can't see that, they're not right for me. Dana asked me last week if I regretted how I handled everything, if I wished I'd confronted Nathan immediately instead of just canceling everything and leaving. No, I said. If I'd confronted him right away, he would have tried to explain it away, gaslight me into thinking I'd misunderstood. By the time I found out about Brooke, the wedding was already canceled, and I was already out. He couldn't manipulate the situation or convince me to give him another chance. That's pretty calculated, Dana said. Maybe, I said. But I protected myself. That's what matters. She nodded. Mom said you're doing better, Dana told me later. Said you seem happier than you've been in a while. I am happier. Turns out when you're not with someone who's embarrassed by you, life gets a lot more peaceful. I learned a lot from this situation. I learned that when someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time. Nathan told his ex actually, that I was too plain for him. That being with me lowered his image. That was the truth. Everything that came after, the apologies, the explanations, the therapy revelations, was just him trying to manage the fallout. I learned that being someone's backup plan is worse than being alone. Nathan would have married me not because he chose me, but because Brooke didn't choose him. I would have been his consolation prize, the safe option when the exciting option wasn't available. I deserve better than that. I learned that canceling a wedding is expensive, but not as expensive as divorcing someone who never really wanted you in the first place. Most importantly, I learned that I'm enough exactly as I am. I'm a civil engineer who wears khakis and drives a practical car. I'm not glamorous or exciting. I'm stable, reliable, maybe a little boring. And that's okay. The right person will see those qualities as assets, not liabilities. Nathan wasn't that person. Someday I'll find someone who is. I'm Lisa, 34, single, living in a small apartment, rebuilding my life, after calling off a wedding 4 months before it was supposed to happen. Some days are harder than others, but most days I'm glad I walked away when I did. I'm glad I chose myself over someone who saw me as too plain, too boring, too much of an image problem. I'm glad I recognized that I deserve better than being someone's second choice.